get these weird messages. So if it gets a message, you just really almost always ignore. Don't even know. That could it'll do something which, or it could do something which then I wouldn't know how to recover.
Alright, cool.
So you'll see error messages or things like that. The only thing you really have to worry about is it says reconnect, and it asks you to reconnect, then you touch it.
Got it.
And then sometimes it does or doesn't. It asks several times. And I've gotten in the habit of starting this like 3 or 4 minutes before I actually get up there. Because a lot of times it's great.
Perfect.
So I'm going to get organized here. So am I blue? Am I blue? Am I good?
You're beautiful.
He said I was beautiful. What a way to start an evening. Well, welcome to Sacred Grounds, ladies and gentlemen. You're here, I'm here, and we're going to share the share the good news. I'm going to read the checklist, which is just a set of announcements which helps you understand what I understand, but since you don't know what that is, then you wouldn't know. I just say, see, you go, what? So it says, hear ye, welcome to Sacred Grounds with me, Dan Brady, as the current host of this, the longest running open mic in the known and unknown universe, as I like to say. Serving up good food and fine poetry since 1972, which is true. I was here in 73 or 75, standing right back there, actually. They had a stage, but that's another story. So let's give a big hand for Teddy back there. He's our host. He keeps the doors open for us. And we buy food and he lets us speak, and it all works together like a little tin boat. Poetry of all kinds, ladies and gents, is welcome, but we do ask you to respect the mic. And by that, I mean, keep your conversations to a whisper. If you have a cell phone or any other kind of thing, put it on mute or airline mode or some kind of thing where it'll go beep, 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 beep in the middle of somebody else's poem, because, that could be disturbing. Also keep to the time limit, usually 5 minutes, but that can change. Remember, we have 2 shows, the 7-ish, which is happening now, and the 8:40-ish, I say because time is variable. For those reasons, I ask for generosity by going to this place, making sure everybody gets a chance. And I try to do that by letting people know if the time limit is changing. If you want to be in the loop, as they used to say in the old days, we have an opt-in email list. Just see me at some point. Facebook. The email, the streaming site is up there on the wall. You can see the live URL up there. And I like to say it's handy in 5 different ways. If you have family or friends and they know you're here and they know when to tune in, they can do that and see you no matter where they are in the world. If you like to hear someone's poem again, well, there you go. You look at that and say, he was talking about Proust. How do you say that? Proust, thank you. You want to do a self-critique? Find out if you really did just dig in your nose before you started. You can see if that happened. Yep, it did. That's gross. If you really want to. And it's a way to put out your word, the word, our word, N word, A word, B word, C word, D word, do word. Remember the ongoing theme, and this is the ongoing theme for the place in itself. It's been for a long time. Never doubt that a small group of committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has, and that's Margaret Mead. However, this evening's theme is, what is it again? What the evening's theme?
It's women empowerment.
Women or women's empowerment is the theme for this evening. The first show we have, as to the first show, we have the keynote, which is Brett Peter. Give him a little round of applause if he's reading that. He'll come up and read a poem by someone else, and then we'll come back for the open mic. Our feature is Paul Aponte. There he is. He's our feature right there. He's the man of the hour, of the evening. And the second show, we have the last word, which is Nasira. She's not in the house yet. And Tommy Avakolameka, who is the mini feature. He is not here yet either, but they tend to come at other times. So just last one thing, be advised, although we record the evening, if an audience member wishes to do so, please ask permission so that the person that's being recorded doesn't get freaked out and run over to you and start beating you over the head with your own machine. That's never happened, but you know. So we'll assume that you've asked permission. We're not going to patrol that, but just be sure. So that is the check-in list, and I'm going to take care of the door prizes in a couple, and just know, that's the other thing. The door prizes, just so you know, you have that.
Yeah, I got this.
All right, so sorry, I think I'm going in and out. I'm probably bothering, annoying if I go in. So,
Got some great gifts tonight.
great
presents,
gifts.
yeah.
So, you know Jack Polier, even if you don't. This is his book, River Run. A lot of great pieces in here. Now, if you're very carefully noticing, he actually signed it to me, but he gave me 2 different copies at 2 different times, and I don't need to have 2. And he's a great poet, so I'm going to give that away. There is this, Every Child Left Behind. This is a research book. If you're interested in education at all, the person who wrote this talks about some of the things that happen at school sites. They're not talking about federal programs or state programs. They're talking about what can happen at a school site and how principals and teachers can have what they call a dysfunctional dance. A lot of good information there. And I'm going to let my co-host here introduce this because he knows more about it than I do, and it's impressive.
So this is City College of San Francisco's now 82-year-old literary magazine, Forum. I was general editor for this edition last semester, and we have some amazing poets in here. We have Kim Shuck, Tongo Eisen-Martin, M.K. Chavez, Jennifer Barone, Thea Matthews, Cassandra Dillette, and Kim Shuck even beaded a warrior trout, which is in color in here as well. So I thought I would bring a copy tonight, and I will let you know if you have internet service. They're accepting literary submissions until 11:59 p.m. tonight for their spring 2019 edition.
And this is Vincent, by the way, which I didn't say his name of. But give Vincent a round of applause. He's up here braving these flood tides. Now, I'll get that to him, yeah. Anyway, so, Rage Against Change. This is the intelligence report by the Southern Poverty Law Center. I'm a member of that group. Some really great articles in here and very informative. You can look at them in a very disturbing sense because some of these people are just
crazy.
Yeah.
That shit crazy. I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
So those are the door prizes that are official. The unofficial door prizes are this, which is if you don't want a book, you can be the keynote, which you'll see Peter doing in a moment. The Last Word, which Nasira will be doing. She opens the second show and closes it. Choosing the theme or prompt. Last week, someone chose to do, or Dee Allen chose women's empowerment. The mini feature, which is Tommy Abacola-Neka tonight, and then the co-pilot. So those are things that aren't really books that can go home. You can take care of those. Now the last thing that's really pretty cool, I'm going to leave these up here. It's a flyer. It's Live Poets Invitations. Sally Love Saunders does these get-togethers at the Cultural Integration Fellowship, which is on Fulton near 3rd. The thing is, it's about an hour and a half. You go there, people read their poems, they serve lunch. It's always on a Sunday, like 11, or I think 11:30 is it? 11 a.m. to about 12:30. You get out by 1 or so, but it's poetry and lunch, and it's a beautiful place to read. So those are there. So when at the break, when you have a chance to do that, and I think that's it.
You did
Okay.
great.
So give him a round of applause. Give him a round of applause. Give yourself a round of applause. Stand up, sit down, fight. Sorry about that.
Round of applause.
All right, so not a rectangle of applause, really. All right, so
I can do that.
Britt, give Britt our keynote of the evening, and a round of applause as he comes
All right,
up.
Britt.
As we like to say.
Okay, I can't think of anything more empowering than a woman deciding to be a poet at the age of 3.
There we go.
The Métier of Blossoming by Denise Levertov. Fully occupied with growing, that's the amaryllis. Growing especially at night. It would take only a bit more patience than I've got to sit keeping watch with it till daylight. The naked eye could register every hour's increase in height. Like a child against a barn door, proudly topping each year's achievement. Steadily up goes each green stem, smooth, matte, traces of reddish purple at the base, and almost imperceptible vertical ridges running the length of them. 2 robust stems from each bulb, sometimes with sturdy leaves for company. Elegant sweeps a blade with
Nothing you can do.
The author is anonymous,
I'll try it.
and the title is Frankie and Johnny. Frankie and Johnny were lovers. Oh Lordy, how they could love. They swore to be true to each other, just as true as the stars above. He was her man, but he was doing her wrong. Frankie went up to the draft house, got herself a little glass of beer. She says to that fat bartender, "Has my lovin'est man been here? I want my man. I think he's doing me wrong." Frankie, don't shoot. But Frankie dungeon and throw the key away. He was my man, but he was doing me wrong. This story has no moral. This story has no end. This story only goes to show that there ain't no good in men. They'll do you wrong just as sure as you're born.
Yeah.
For a small one, I'll say In an Iridescent Time by Ruth Stone. My mother, when young, scrubbed laundry in a tub. She and her sisters on an old brick walk under the apple trees, sweet rub-a-dub. The bees came round their heads, the wrens made talk. 4 young ladies, each with a rainbow board, honed their knuckles, rubbed their wrists to red, flung back their braids, and wiped their aprons wet. The Jersey calf beyond the back fence roared. All that fair day the swarms about their pet buzzed at his big brown eyes and bullish head. 4 times they rinsed, they said. Some things they starched, then plucked them from the baskets 2 by 2 and pinned the fluttering intimacies of life between the lilac bushes and the yew, brown, gingham, pink, and skirts of Alice blue.
Thank you, Hal.
Yes. Jeffrey Cooks.
Jeffrey Cook.
All right.
And I want to excuse myself because I had the clock set for the wrong time when Hal went up there, so it went off. Shit, that problem.
I'll only get one time.
There we go. Okay. Now we go.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Just,
Here,
put the mic straight towards your,
Yeah, there you go.
and get very close.
I'll just read one poem.
Oh, that's perfect.
She is gone, gone, in the squinting of my eye, has smothered all memory of your moist mouth, smiling eyes, sticks of smoldering jasmine, sweat, and patchouli.
Wow. Thank you. Come back.
George Lister.
George Lister, the mighty and wonderful. He's my neighbor. Close enough we can throw rocks at each other if we really want
Really?
Clods. Dirt clods.
to. My favorite thing of all time. All right.
The world is a box. We were all warned not to go near the edge. Some nodded and went anyway. As I approached, because I had to see what the end of the world looked like, the wind was ferocious. I tiptoed through the slosh, got to the edge, and peered over. The wind blew straight up. But of course it would have to. If it didn't, all the perpendicular water would fall straight down. Sprays of water hit my face and hair like needles. I couldn't take myself away. Somehow, the world had really turned flat. Or not so much flat, but box. I wondered if I was looking down the thousands of miles to someone looking up at me. Where was he? India? China? As I stood peering, the camera in my brain drifted away leaving me secure on the very edge of my world. People were laughing, crying, but mostly laughing. They laughed themselves right over the edge. I always wanted to travel a box the world. My brother asked me today if I'm nervous when I get up here and do this.
Are you there?
Yeah. The waking, just waking from the deepest of deep sleeps. I hear her calling. It's the voice of beauty I first heard on the machine, Priory Road, London. Just speaking. I had never heard it before, like a new gift from a place somewhere beyond. Now, years later, when I've been listening to that voice singing to me in life, the fine, the poor, the high moments of love and devotion, I hear it in my dream. The small Chinese man hovering over me, waiting to remove the needles, as much of a carer as anyone I've ever known. What brings all this together? Does it all find its way into my heart where there is so much room to open? I will tell this story for the rest of my life. We traveled the road together, found from afar, brought together by the spirits forever in love.
Wow.
This is called Broken. My arm is a broken wing, like the bird who slammed into my window while I was reading Stephen King on my deck while the soft Vermont air gently touched my skin. We looked at each other, his eyes darting this way and that, legs splayed, one wing down, one up, trying to fly, anything to go, to leave, to soar back to heaven where he belongs. I'm the same kind of creature. My heaven is wet. I move through it like a bird soaring in the air. The water surrounds me, moves me forward like we were rushing downhill through the rapids, laughing, playing together, singing a roaring song and flying off to places unknown. As I reached to touch, the bird gathered himself and left me watching, wondering. I'm left behind as my water flies on without me.
Thank you. That's George.
Thank you, George.
Thank you.
Owen.
Owen Duncan?
Owen Duncan.
Oh, yeah, Dunkel, sorry. Not
Dunkel.
Duncan. Dunkel, sorry. You know, I'm trying to practice making more mistakes. I'm getting better and better every time I turn around. Come around and see what's up.
Lying on the beach, I watched a guy about as old as I am do push-ups. Pretty good push-ups, almost perfect. He did 25, then ran in place. Pretty good for a man his age. I made an exit back to the 71 to the city, the noise of the imagination. Lord Wordy's castle. Little rocks of ideas, the board shall bend another sky when tomorrow arrives, upon wanting not to wait to want, as though you are waiting for and longing into the distance of clouds, and you forget what you were. Things I tried to say, but can only line up in front of me, like shells in a shell in a pea game. Villanelle 2012. The day is as calm as it should be. The stars smile because we are here. The night to be is as dark as the sea. The sky at the beach blue and me, my friend, it is that, ah, my dear. The day is as calm as it should be. The calm is calm, the key to her heart is not clear. My mind is as dark as the sea. Tonight the stars are love. Tea and nectarines are symbols. Mere calm on waters today can be close to dust, passion, quiet. Tree and squirrel dance together, for near tonight to be is as dark as the sea. Can't speak. Slowly, slowly we accept the dawn and sky. Fear the day is as calm as it should be. Tonight my mind is as dark as the sea. Vortex. A dog day of the calm wind, a linear vortex, interstices of a divine one. Emotions left there is as perishable as food left out on a hot day. One thought flies by in a second. I wish I could grab it with my hand, as though it were a housefly, and put it in my back pocket. But it is only a word, just a word out of my mouth, not an object in the universe. It has expressed itself out of my mouth and has flown up to a star, where it is like the angel it is meant to be. Aura Poema. The talk of the poem, the hour of sunlit language, within me lurks and drools. Within me lurks the confusion of a true confession. Where is language, the communion of connoisseurs to go? It is poor with expensive tastes. My talk is cheap as cheap wine. North Beach in the quavering sunlight, a sunny day like a sharp tongue. People assure themselves the world is flat as language that walks a straight line.
Thank you, Mr. Owen Dungo. The presidents from every open mic that I've ever been to in the city. And now, Vincent.
All right, let me just scoot on
Oh,
over.
the co-host is getting over there. I'm going to make sure I frame him for everything I've done.
It's good to be framed.
Yeah, especially by a pro.
Yeah. I just have a few tonight. I don't necessarily need a microphone, but I'll use it. I started writing these little prayer poems, and this one actually was inspired by our poet laureate Kim Shuck and poet E.K. Keith. I asked them a question about mentoring, and they got all humble on me, so I wrote this. It's called Mentors and Laureates. My day was like no other, unique in its proportions. I left expectations and assumptions out of every new moment. I asked cynicism to leave by the back door. And I greeted hope in the foyer. The soldiers of doom marched in a foreign land nearest to willingness, and I walked the path of glory. Okay. So published poem. I've never really read it in public. It's called Grief, and it's about a mother's loss. Grief. Piles of dirty snow pushed to the sides of the street. A dead squirrel or two unable to retreat. Faces unseen, wrapped in wool. Smiles are vacant, all gray and dull. Vacant dwellings scattered throughout. Broken windows common, shivering with doubt. Spires above reflect a small coffin aligned. Mortality left us numb and untied. Arms over shoulders, hands clasped in pairs. Farewell and goodbye with a sonnet and prayer. Lifting her slowly into the air, moments later, lowering memories to bear. Tonight and again, the door closed to her room, forever and then becoming her tomb. Okay, minute? Okay, cool. Anyone's ever been to our lovely Legion of Honor?
Palace of the Legion of Honor?
Yes.
I've been there, actually.
Big almost.
One of my favorite paintings by Van Dyck. This is called Tears for the Impatient. In constant demand, portraitists of hereditary titles, knighted by King Charles I, double portrait, stiff. Formality of a mother's pose, countered by the liveliness of the colorfully dressed child at her side. Van Dyck's father, a dealer of fine fabrics, explaining the ease of the artist's depiction of the sitter's sumptuous, fashionable attire. Marie Claire, Rubenesque, seemingly, small-armed, unable to drop her limbs. Her smile, unlike, sits solemnly for hours, drooped upon her cheeks. Her left hand dangles near a primrose, her right near her cinched middle. Between her legs, heavy with talc, diminishing her battle with well-boned corset, aristocracy, and heavy sweat. The many layers of obligatory undergarments, covered in patriarchy black velvet, lace, and linen, heavily kissing the imported crimson ornate pattern hand-woven rug. An offset from her stance and powdered chest, a small child. A royal, Philippe Eugene, stands just beneath her gaze, his arm reaching out with pointed finger for what may hours before be the imagined tears of the impatient. Thank you.
Thank you. Vincent, poet of the evening and poet noteworthy. Thank you. Bob Gordon.
Okay, I might have to bring this down.
Yeah.
See if that's about right for you, Bob. Perfect. You got it? Okay.
This is something I haven't done for a while, read at the mic.
All right.
This is from the work I'm working on called Nutshells. They're towards the end, which means they're recent. And there are 7 poems, but there are a few words per line, so I think I can get them in. The first group is called And They Came Down and the Tablets. And they came down from the mountain, and they found the path, God behind the man, also with one name, no family gathered within, a name for them, all blood flowing in a single river, and he wondered, who is this people, and all with one name, who fight with God, and who behind him became the mountain with one name, as all mountains. Sinai is the family name of God.
Hey, Bob, into the mic.
What's that?
Into the mic.
I'm trying.
Okay.
This is a companion poem to that one. It's called And the Tablets Came to the Fire. And the light flickered upon the words inscribed there that was not a part of the mountain, any more than the jewels that melted at the fire's touch. And the dancers swirled round in the vapor that would become the sacrifice. And the brothers named as their brothers, and the fathers of all the names cried out, the name is our God. From fire to fire, the ashes fly like love. Oops. In the mouth of the striving sand, may the sparkles of loving be forever. That's the end of the book. And then there's this group which is called Perhaps to Have Dreamed. not interested in fucking things up or over. Seriously, is that enough? I came out for something simple. I forget what it is. Can we remember the good times? What does the music say? Radios are a weapon too. Read your book. Show no interest in anything but that. Is that what the music says? No, it says tough at any cost. Listen, so things are expensive now. No one has to bleed, I say. This one's called Liberosity. All are interested to affect change. Ching, 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 a dime a dozen. Roses are still sweet to what I, there's the rub. And sent away, S-C-E-N-T. So he left, and all right. Our left so must be so. Who says is only one who talks. Well be damned, here comes yours. A ghost again, love. We are so young, you make me that way. As you have from the first painful thrust of your trust me, love is a killer. Friend, I said, I'll help. Now just teach me. Friendship whatsoever may precede, is only learning to love as well. And the last. This is why I don't read the mic. I do not want to be on this planet to see everything, or blind man's dream. It's the last one.
Yeah.
Beautiful, die, they are both a lie, or influential, to be gods, but to be gods influentially, if I may, still be simply, not to see dying is the same as is death, but to live I want to see.
Wow, nice. Next time you can sit down and have the mic, or somebody can hold it. You can sit there. We can do it that way.
Yeah, but it's my arms that.
Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, we can work something out. We'll figure it out. All right.
Russell.
Russell. And this is his first time here, right? No, it's not his first time. Sorry, but give him a round of applause. I thought he had the first time.
I haven't been here in a long time.
Is that
All right.
right for you? You need it up a little more. You good? You want it up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I practice Sufism, so I just need to preface that because that's what.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
There we go.
Alhamdulillah. Now, this is called Creatio ex nihilo, and it begins with a quote by Sultan Valad, who was the son of Rumi. One foot pivots within the tradition of Islam. The other steps around into all traditions. Thus does the dervish whirl. The Sufi is such a strange creature. The other foot steps around into all traditions. The deeper inside we go, the further we push the edge. The Sufi is such a strange creature, thriving on conundrums, contradictions reconcile. The deeper inside we go, the further we push the edge. Sagacious saints, heroic scoundrels, blameworthy tricksters, thriving on conundrums, contradictions reconcile. Impossible to surmise, but admittedly merely Muslim. Sagacious saints, heroic scoundrels, blameworthy tricksters, being touched directly by the divine will make you strange. Impossible to surmise, but admittedly merely Muslim and conveniently condemned as such. Being touched directly by the divine will make you strange, recognizably religious, yet embracing doubt as a skeptic. And conveniently condemned as such. Nothing is greater than Allah. Recognizably religious, yet embracing doubt as a skeptic, faith is comprised of desire-laden hopes and doubt-lined suspicion. Nothing is greater than Allah. Is Allah all there is? Faith is comprised of desire-laden hopes and doubt-lined suspicion. This alternating current of no God but God. Is Allah all there is, or is God zero? Nothing, nada. This alternating current of no God but God, clearing static concepts clean of fragile certainty. Is God zero? Nothing, nada. A single point with no volume or depth. Clearing static concepts clean of fragile certainty. The God is no God. A single point with no volume or depth. Atheists are always half correct. The God is no God. Worshipping the impossible. Atheists are always half correct. Whatever you think or believe God to be is not God. Worshipping the impossible, reaching beyond the tangible. Whatever you think or believe God to be is not God, because everything emerges from nothing. Reaching beyond the tangible, oneness begets nothingness, begets nihilism, because everything emerges from nothing and everything eventually subsides. Tawheed begets sunyata, begets nihilism. The sum total of everything is one, and everything eventually subsides. Even nothingness is still one with it all. The sum total of everything is one, but even the defining particulars are part. Nothing is still one with it all. Upon this gnosis, I rest. Even the defining particulars are part. Religion, sects, denominations. Upon this gnosis, I rest. I am in awe and moved by so much. Religion, sects, denominations, each owns a piece of the whole. I am in awe and moved by so much. So how can I fear the petty threat of policy? Each owns a piece of the whole, and I am a real piece of that whole. How can I fear the petty threat of policy, that small-minded theater of the absurd? I am a real piece of that whole. But division is the serrated blade of oppression. That small-minded theater of the absurd, my faith has been cast as culprit. Division is the serrated blade of oppression, but the entire sum of one. My faith has been cast as culprit, but that impetuous script is cliched and decayed. The entire sum is still one. This despite the spite of ignorant disdain, but this impetuous script is cliched and decayed. We hunger for much better. Despite the spite and ignorant disdain, patience permits us to see past what is temporary. We hunger for much better. Beauty feeds our souls. Patience permits us to see past what is temporary. The cyclical revolution of time. Beauty feeds our souls. The axis of galaxies spinning through a vast cosmos. The cyclical revolution of time. Each new end, an ancient beginning. The axis of galaxies spinning through a vast cosmos. The static nucleus of this celestial atom. Each a new end, an ancient beginning. Thus does the dervish whirl. The static nucleus of this celestial atom, 1 foot, pivots within the tradition of Islam.
Nice. And we have Mike.
Mike?
Just Mike.
Just Mike. And this is your first time? Yeah. Now this is a first timer, ladies and gentlemen. Is that Mike? Come on the mic. Mike on the mic. Mike on the mic.
Let me know if that was good. Pull it down, see. Perfect? Okay, good.
Oh my God, it's Mike!
Don't hurt me. Return to Cleveland.
Why?
The neighbors are, I'll tell you.
Okay.
The neighbors across the
I'm being
hall,
an idiot over here.
Jennifer and Arthur, were moving back to Cleveland. High rent, a new baby, and a big-ass dog wedged like sardines in a can contributed to their retreat. Of the throngs who have come and gone across the hall, I sort of liked them in spite of that damn dog. My great-grandpa was an Arthur, so I figured this Arthur couldn't be all that bad in spite of working for Adobe. Jennifer sang opera and taught grade school and was somewhat reserved, perhaps even wary around me, even before she got pregnant. Perhaps she saw my potential as an old grump. Actually, I'm easygoing. At times I'd enter the hallway to an aria and would smile. Jennifer and Arthur's new baby, quiet as angel wings. had one of those 21st century names that are easily forgotten. Even the big-ass dog with huge iridescent fangs and fur black as the letters on this page was mostly quiet and, in spite of shedding fur, sort of okay. So when Arthur told me they were moving back east, air sucked from the room. Evil as the landlord is, he'd love to place a dickhead frat boy across the hall just to fuck with me. But with his stable married couple leaving, I was afraid I'd have to dust off the social engineering toolkit, snap on the rubber gloves, and revisit the awful and arduous process of housebreaking America's entitled. I dreaded the loss of Jennifer and Arthur. In short order, Jennifer secured a teaching position for the upcoming semester and flew back east with the baby. Arthur remained to implement a simple relocation plan. Liquidate all their IKEA crap. No moving van, no boxes. Craigslist people streamed in and out of their apartment. Arthur would transport dogs, computers, some books, baby stuff, clothes in their Honda Fit. They would leave San Francisco almost as naked of possession as their baby had arrived. Craigslisters came and went, the move out progressed, and the month burned to a cipher. One day I arrived home to find a gigantic Macy's bag propped against my door with a sticky note. Hope you can use this. The door ajar, the apartment empty, my neighbor. I dragged the bag into my apartment to rummage the contents like a kid after Halloween. It was a good neighbor inheritance. 2 rolls of paper towels, 2 almost full bottles of Mrs. Meyer's Sage soap, 1 bottle of Mrs. Meyer's Sage hand soap, and something like 10,000 rolls of toilet paper. I laughed out loud. Ever since I was kicked out of my parents' house, I dwell on the necessity of toilet paper. Often I ponder the advantage, the leg up, the damn good luck if blessed with a lifetime supply of free toilet paper. I'll admit to small dreams. But standing hip deep in multitudinous rolls of paper too fragile for the pen, but excellent for other darker venues, I glimpsed the animated and unexpected joy of a mega million lottery winner. Cleveland, thousands of miles away, and is under a blanket of snow. They left no forwarding address, email, or phone number. I can't thank them properly. Nor share my precious story of the fantastic gift of these modern magi. For what could be wiser than gifted toilet paper? I believe my ex-neighbors intrinsically understand that their moving solution has given a quirky neighbor the outside gift of a dream fulfilled. And now, sleepy-eyed, I trudge from the warmth of bedded dreams upon a cold, cold floor to the brutally plumbed bathroom. Barely awake, I take respite upon a gleaming porcelain plinth where I engage in a process as old as life on earth. Daily, without fail, when I gaze upon a pristine roll of paper hanging from the dispenser, I think kindly on neighbors now in Cleveland.
Well done. Well done. You're here.
Mary,
It's been a long time. She says she's not a first timer. But give her a nice round of applause. This is Mary coming up here. Haven't seen her in 16,452 centuries. Give or take a minute.
Right for you.
I think so. Hello.
Hello.
For guys, very sweet place to read here.
Why, thank you.
I'm not sure if this fits in the theme. I think if you use your imagination, I guess it could. This is called Miss Perfect Attendance is Late for the Apocalypse, but turns in her term paper on time.
I like that.
1. The non-traditional aged student squeezes behind the tiny desk. 2. Diplomas and certificates accrue like piles of withering leaves and litter swirling in a winter stairwell. 3. Instead of writing a eulogy for her aunt at the funeral, she reads a Yeats poem tearing up, remembering not her aunt, but her freshman poetry elective, where her gustoed rendition of Howl produced among her fellow students a stupefied silence, thick as taffy.
It's only 14 pages long.
4. She applies for admissions to the less competitive KEA, Know Everything Academy in Winnipeg. 5. Stowed in the station wagon with a novel while her siblings scampered off to scenic vistas and waterfalls. Her father remarked, "There's also the school of life, kiddo." Decades later, this fragment of dialogue careens like a mishit baseball through the basement window of her memory. 7. Though she hasn't achieved enlightenment, psychology can diagram layers of a personality like a tiered wedding cake. She learned calculus and jujitsu holds and correct comma usage, a lecture on Buffy the Vampire Slayer with the word pedagogy in the title, several hundred points on the Chinese medicine meridian, 4 biographies about Lincoln evaporate. 9. From her survivalist class, though, she remembers how to fashion a tourniquet with a torn shirt and a twig. 10. She leaves the children she forgot to have standing in front of their school at dusk. 11. As news reports turn dire, people clutch each other. They walk their dogs in green parks. They go on benders and scramble to finish their bucket lists. Skydiving schools are overcrowded. The aging student doesn't fantasize about cruise ships or turquoise water, her name a river rock caught in a lover's throat. Instead, she checks out her limit of library books, wheeling them home in a laundry cart. 12. She wishes she had written that eulogy, celebrating the wizardry of her aunt's tang and Miracle Whip chicken, thanking her for enduring endless sock puppet shows performed in a made-up Elizabethan dialect. 13. Divorce, the loneliness of a Sunday afternoon, and other apocalypses. Tucked under her arm, a crisp copy of Armageddon for Dummies. She and her fellow students fan out along the windows. Gaping, the glass panes rattle in the window frames. A chalk dust cloud lingers in front of the blackboard. Fire streaks through the sky, turning the trees into torches.
All right. Yeah, free radical to the microphone.
Free radical, that's me. It's my new nickname.
Oh, I have to raise this up, can I?
Oh, yeah, I got you.
Don't do this at home, I'm a professional.
I'm a professional.
There you go.
Notice I didn't say professional. What?
Let me frame you.
All right, so I'm going to read 2 poems. One is by Don Brennan, a longtime friend of mine who passed away.
Top picture on the right.
Oh, top picture on the right, yes, that's him. And this is on the theme. The title of the poem is Mother. So this is not my mom, just to be clear about that. You know. At 17, you didn't have to travel far from home to find another world. 100 miles down the tracks, stacked along the bay like cordwood and smoke, leading young, tempting the poor to leave the farms behind in 1919 for another world, leave the field work, the cows to milk, the brimstone preachers and muscled men. Leave them standing by the tracks, cows and fields, preachers and farmers, wanting to tell you how to live. You'll find a job, an apartment to share. San Francisco after the war to end all wars, on a block you didn't know was around the corner from Skid Row. There was a lot you didn't know about at 17 about apartments and jobs, Skid Row and wars, but you weren't going back to raise a country boy's brood on any farm, you knew that much. An urban mother is who you'd be, who didn't talk of such things as feelings and dreams, at least not to me, but in spite of your silence, I knew your simplest dreams because in my presence you lived them. riding the end car downtown in silk stockings and high heels, wearing gloves, smiling at me with my hair combed. Feelings? Dad didn't seem to freak you out like he did me, depress you, scare you, nor enrage you like he did me. Just another drunken Irishman, like the one your sister married, like the one that I'd grow up to be. Whew. That's Don Brennan. This is not speculation, this is fact. The world will end, or it will seem that way when your friends fall off of it, or one, by twos and threes, then by the dozen, by the generation, by your leave without ending, and of course, it certainly seems that way when your part in it does, and it is you who stand on that precipice where only then you can take a true look back to survey your lifelong route with 20/20 hindsight, consider its meanings, meanderings, ups and downs, abrupt turns turning into turns, knotting themselves into mazes, and the branches branching with branching branches in all its complexity. You can relive the famed fits and starts, recoveries, losses, regrets, longings, or simply stare at the baggage you still have yet to claim. Oh, how it all comes back to you, and you can see exactly how you traversed it to get where you are, still wondering about it all. Of course, you turn away from all that to look forward toward the sunny horizon, toward what dreams may come, and ponder that which still may be possible, or consider those choices which appear to remain in hand, not to mention your purpose or purposes, the calling you still hear, give voice to, would act upon, or more simply that which you exceed responsibility for, or the consequent considerations, and so on and so forth. Now, while you can imagine a legacy, you really have no idea what will become of what you've left behind, what's done in your name, with your name, worth whatever you did manage to will away while you still had the chance to, Well, then as you look towards the horizon where the bright future is on display, towards which you finally make a decision, there comes a breeze which waxes, tousling your hair, then it blusters and more, becomes muscular, rough. It shoves you around, pushes you back, and you shoulder into it, straining forward, but you lose your footing, lose ground. Still, it is in this failure that you may be forgiven for thinking this is surely a sign for you to return, to get back on the path and continue on. But it's not. Being as you're at the very precipitous edge, and so when the wind plays you, as it will, you are removed and you fall. But you feel tremendous relief because there's absolutely nothing you can do. And then there's all this long seeming time, and you begin to wonder about this, as well as a few other things that come to mind since you have the time. After a time, when you happen to think of it again, you look towards that far, bright horizon. And you're not at all surprised to see that you're really flying very, very fast, faster and faster, right towards the light. The light becomes all you can see. And then, as far as anybody here knows, it's lights out.
Thanks, Don Brennan. Alrighty, cursive rider, I believe, is next.
We got the cursive rider.
Cursive rider. All right, or the discursive rider. Okay. David, is that you?
It's David.
He will be joining me.
Oh,
Will
okay.
David be joining you?
Yeah, I'll be joining.
Oh, let me get.
IB?
Let me hook.
Hug me all night long. Oh,
Tell
I
me
don't
when to stop. Okay. Let me frame you.
oh, I gotta be framed.
Well, I got.
You did it.
Let me get both of you.
That might be true.
No, don't worry about me, get him.
Yeah,
He wants to look at my.
I have to look over his shoulder.
and I guess look over.
All right, well, first, before we get started, I want to plug myself, which I don't do often, but I am starting to. On March 4th at Bird and Beckett, Bill Mercer and I are supposed to be featured, I hope, at 7 o'clock on Monday. All right.
Which one?
Man on Fire. All right, we're getting started. Man on fire in the rain. Man on fire in rain burns green blue hot. Man on fire not seen, who's seen too much. Burning Buddha Christ, where no one asks why Buddha Christ stands in the rain on fire. Seldom seen, no one gets involved. Burning Man involved threatens those who are not. Fear they will be dragged down by this burning Buddha Christ. After all, he's standing on fire, green, blue, hot, in the rain. Let's just close your eyes. See what's going on behind those lids. Will trust be easier to see? Beauty, ugliness, the same? Will you be blind as when your eyes are open? Will you believe images you see? Will you remain bonded to the floor, unable to take steps, blinded by hooded eyes? Do fears vanish if one cannot see life's trauma, splendor? Guessing it's about the same. We see, we don't see by choice or neglect. It's seen, unseen, remembered, forgotten. Unsettling this meddling where there are those who are gelded, desexed. So there are no problems. Inactive, docile. Let's just pretend nothing's happening. The only thing happening is you. No room for anyone else. Like flat earthers, you believe you're on your own swill. The universe revolves around you, beliefs, person. Take my hand. We are naked. Open those eyes. Let's dance for real. Hold on. Separate. We explore what others deplore. Eyes to eyes explore other minds. Looking into eyes to see the ethereal for real. Let's just. All right, I want to get this in because today was anniversary day of Wounded Knee, 1890, 1973. And during that, it was ended with Leonard Peltier being put in jail. And Leonard's still there, so this is for Leonard. Much has been written, said about Leonard Peltier, depending who talks about him. I, for one, speak in terms of love, respect for the man who pays his freedom for the USA's crimes against native nations. USA wants, loots, plunders their resources, where elders protest, knowing USA's poisons lands, waters for profit. USA supports the murder of the traditionalist elders. To hell with treaties. Cries arise as goons rain their terror onto the people with all the power USA can throw. It is USA and its arms who were terrorists. Someone is going to pay for those 2 FBI agents. Others tried for the same crime, found innocent. Self-defense. Leonard, same charge, guilty. Why? Case built on evidence denied, case built on lies, evidence denied, we know what is said. Their truth manufactured as it continues today. The beast arrived over 500 years ago, has not changed as empires ages before time. It too will pass, collapse on its own treachery, corruption. Eyes, the eyes of Leonard Peltier speak truth as his words are humble, beautiful. He shows his humanity, humility, teaches that even from prison his voice is heard, still strong as body ages, without advocating hatred, violence. Would any of us be that strong? USA still colonizes native nations as somehow legal, and empires, legal is whatever they say. Every day they try to break him. Not broken is his victory. He is a respected elder hero, a man of Leonard's stature, needs no statue. His word, sacrifice, will be his testament of a human being. Question to all of us is, if your elders asked to help against those who would kill or take their homes, lands for profit, or their beliefs, where will you stand, be doing? Would you defend against slaughter of the people as Leonard when called by the elders with whatever skills you have? Violence never works, and in the end, but one must stand up to the bully USA. It's the native nation's battered syndrome, like battered women, where USA is the bully and beats the people. The dream is to see Leonard come home to a Pendleton blanket big enough to wrap around him, family, where Native Nation supporters in solidarity celebrate. Stand in the circle, rise, remove your hats, show the respect to the elder Leonard Peltier.
All right. One of my favorite times of the evening is I get to brag unashamedly upon someone who deserves bragging upon, or upon whom I can brag. Is this good?
You're good.
I'm good. He says I'm good.
He might be a little shorter.
Yeah, I'm afraid later on now. All right.
Opener week.
Paul, hello. I'm going to talk about him for just a moment here because one of my theories is to keep my part very short, giving him more time to do what he does best and express himself and let you get to know him through his poetry, which is really the way of introduction. This is a man who cares very deeply about the issues of the day, and I don't say that lightly. I don't think he'll take it as a light comment. There's a strength of character that comes through in a word, or a set of words, or a line, or a phrase, or the title of a poem. He crafts what he does with purpose. There are not idle words in his pieces. Each word is there because it bears weight, and the weight takes the whole, and the whole produces the meaning, and the meaning is what goes into our hearts and minds and changes us. He's a capable person. In this case, he's like a magician. Like many poets, the words move within the soul of the person hearing. They become something else for having heard those words. They learn, they understand, they feel, they know, and they come to a greater sense of self. So, Paul Aponte, come on up here. Give him a really strong round of applause. I'm going to set the mic exactly for you. And you should all right.
Let me lower that just a little bit. There we go. Thank you, Dan, for those beautiful, kind words. Thank you so much. And I also wanted to thank you for all of this, Dan and Vincent. Appreciate it. Really beautiful work.
Thank you.
Shine. Is this real? Are we truly physically here? Morning doves flock, cooing their comforting sounds. This infallible earth filled with fallible people. These sights, these sounds, this wind, this shine, this green, this blue, failing each other when oceans sing lullabies and the ground waits patiently. Moving mountains. I was smiling when my delicious sushi roll appeared. The tree waved in the wind. A kind woman drove up with baskets of gifts for the homeless. The children chased each other, screaming with joy. The bird peeked behind the fire hydrant. The tortoise finally moved at the zoo. The waves crashed at the beach. Poetry was read. My friends were all around me. Love grew in my heart. I can only conclude my smile can move mountains. Moon haiku. Tiny, tiny moon pretends it's for vacations in sunny blue days. Whenever I read in Spanish, you'll also hear the translation right after it. Tengo celos de la luna, porque conoce todos tus secretos de madrugada y de tus sábanas, con el privilegio de tocarte por todas partes a medida que entras en tus sueños. Pero el sol, ese es el más afortunado. Cuando estás por despertar, soñolienta, sin saber lo hermosa que te ves, besa tus labios con su luz. Unknown author. I'm jealous of the moon because she knows all of your 5 a.m. secrets and your sheets that get to touch every part of you as you fall asleep. But the sun, he is the luckiest of all. When you're half asleep, groggy and painfully unaware of how beautiful you look, he kisses your lips with light.
Ooh.
That was from Unknown Poet. Only once. It's just that I will be here only once. This is why I touch your hand with one finger, then the other, then another, slowly sliding over smooth skin, undulating over crests and the cleavage of your slender, beautiful fingers, downward gently following the turquoise trails, your wrist a sensual limit, invisible border, the beginning before that sensual fall, before interlacing breaths, dilated eyes, crimson lips overflow to a precipice of unhinged passion. My fingers play with the possibility of crossing. It's just that I will be here only once. Circling this limit, downward along sides as if looking for a safe, inert entrance, but finally retreating, traversing your pinky finger, so feminine, trembling, almost imperceptibly, and stopping my fingers, each on flesh, and my eyes fixed, suspended over your iris and pupil, obsidian center, luminous, encircled by fine, long, embedded stones, tiger's eye, smoky quartz, brown sapphire, sunk in an ancient lake of a remote past, the time when Nezahualcóyotl was a child and still played in his lake with nascent poems, surrounded by the light of the fifth sun. Elegant entrance, open to your being, your soul. I disappear in them. It's just that I will be here only once. I am there and I am here. I exist, then disappear, return, then depart. I feel my hand touching yours, touching mine that belongs to you, and then I feel nothing but your beauty, eternal, your radiant being, supreme, sublime, lover, my one, my only, my love and life. It's just that I will be here only once. Buenas noches. Es la sensación del saber y no saber, del pensar y no tener ideas, de idear fantasías al azar mientras perritos a distancia se comunican, mientras el susurro del aire y un tren lejano compiten por el ritmo musical en las nubes que se ven formando, y vuelas en ellos y descansas sobre uno acoginado y no te acuerdas, y el universo se transforma sin que te des cuenta que pienso en ti. Buenas noches. Good night. It's the sensation of knowing and not knowing, of thinking and not having ideas, of creating random fantasies while pups in the distance communicate, while the whispers of the air in a far train compete for the musical rhythms in the clouds now forming, and you fly in them, and you rest on a cushiony one, and you don't remember, and the universe changes without you noticing that I'm thinking of you. Good night. Saudade. Saudade is a Brazilian word. I don't know if anybody's heard it.
The ultimate word.
Yeah, the ultimate word. It's hard to translate. There's not really a word, single word in other languages, but basically it's like a wistful melancholy, a joy of life, yet a pain of life, yet thinking of wanting and desiring and hoping. It's just all things mixed together. Saudade, you're only a poet once. On the long, lonesome highway, in the dark, dreary corners of the room, on cafe tabletops, in wordsmith arenas and circles, searching for the unsearchable, in noisy, crowded restaurants, in a river's bank under a tree, in lost friends and summer winds, in rainy Novembers, in lonely nights. Saudade do espírito, for only one lifetime. Short quote by William Blake. Every night and every morn, some to misery are born. Every morn and every night, some are born to sweet delight. Some are born to endless night. Now, Sandprints. The birds still fly. The planet turns. Gravity still tethers this blue gem. Only you are gone, and the waves continue to crash, and prints in the sand disappear. Dads, triple tanka. Dads working quietly for loved ones in rainy days, day in and day out, hoping children grow healthy, sprout wings of wisdom and love, then the gentle descent. Existence by persistence. March drumbeats slowing, gentle walk, forgiving path. Tender talk, recalling dreams. Rocking and rolling, words to soothe troubled beings. Autumn is long gone. Cavern walls of time painted. Wind and rain exposes bones. Face. If the sum of all fears equals the square root of all evils, then the answer lies between our fears and the evils that create them. The answer lies between facing our fears and facing the evils, facing in one direction then facing the other, back and forth, like the nucleus of an atom and its electrons and the nothingness in between. You facing both directions, and in between is you, the answer. The art of seduction. Mesmerized by our ego, beguiled by words we wish to hear, the art of seduction echoes in their smile. Their sweet dreams are made of this. Their art is this art. Their brushstrokes entrance us. Their exhibit draws us in as the vacuum does to dust, ashes to ashes, to enter their palace, to share their world, to wallow in the self and forget our truth, our love. A breeze. A breeze trembles on poet's skin. It knows words will be written, read on open mics, talked about in writer circles. Words scream out to be written, to be read, to color the gray clouds, to light a fire under our rest, to relinquish our fears to actions, to delve into the questions, to answer the call we know keeps ringing. A breeze trembles on poet's skin. Write about this new breeze. Allow your writing to change the burdens of ignorance into the breeze that opens windows and doors and swirls the garments of justice upward and makes her react and open her eyes to see what is going on. That breeze that once more recalls the sails of unity, the directionality of our destiny, the true peace and true indivisibility we all must have. Calling on Mothra. I'm so high, devils play flutes like Incas, and angels the panpipes, and they have a good laugh. I'm so high, speed is not a distance over time, it is pressure over acceleration, and in no time, distance is zero. I'm so high, the burdens of life are Godzilla. Will the flight of Mothra? With the flight of Mothra, will the city be saved? I'm so high, the unexpected happens like in a dream nightmare. But I'm the maker of my dreams. But I find solace in the scent of Play-Doh. I'm so high, trees sway below, and abruptly galaxies whiz by, and this cosmic storm tears my flesh. But I'm still alive. I'm so high, I keep walking and talking and working and writing and sleeping and driving in my flesh, and skin reform upon my bones when people look at me. But I see the mirror doesn't lie. My sockets look bloodshot. But I'm okay. Me gusta el silencio desde que empecé a amarte en él. Pablo Neruda. Ripples. Even alone, your distant presence caresses my heart like ripples in a pond, touching me, touching you. Soothing sounds in this warm pond of our existence. Miniature, circular waves cuddling us both, fondling the fondness we share, the moments we share, the dreams we share. These undulations creating many moons, repeating nighttime passions, fun laughter, conversations, caresses, and this feeling that eternity with you is just this, gentle ripples in a pond. Pasión que dobla. Bésame con tus ojos, tócame con tu mente, vibra como alarma en silencio. Deja que tus labios sientan lo que pienso, que tu torso note las acaricias de mis percepciones, tus glúteos, mis manos fuertes que te levantan sobre mis muslos de pasión, que gritan por tu calor deslizante y gemidos y suspiros con tonos bajos que llaman las llamas y el incansable ritmo hasta los rechazos físicos por el irrestricto y creciente placer explosivo. Hasta entonces, que cierras tus puertas y doblas tu hermoso cuerpo en placer que ruega fin, solo entonces te vuelvo a amar. Passion that folds. Kiss me with your eyes, touch me with your mind, vibrate like a silenced alarm. Let your lips feel what I think, let your torso note the caresses of my perceptions, your buttocks, my strong hands that lift you onto my thighs of passion, that scream for your sliding heat and moans and sighs with low tones that call the flames and the tireless rhythm until the physical rejections, due to the unrestricted and growing explosive pleasure. Until then, when you close your doors and bend your beautiful body in pleasure that pleads for the end, only then do I love you again. The rain song looks like rain. I can't stand the rain. Who'll stop the rain? Let it rain, rain over me. Purple rain, rain, buckets of rain, rhythm of the rain, singing in the rain. Row, row, row your boat. Led Zeppelin, Grateful Dead, Tina Turner, Creedence Clearwater Revival, Eric Clapton, Pitbull, featuring Mark Anthony, Prince, The Beatles, Bob Dylan, The Cascades, Gene Kelly, and who knows who wrote that last one, Row, row your boat. The dailies. The inebriated chaos in the brain butts up against the dailies and wins most rounds. Unanimous decision goes to chaos, but a rematch is inevitable. The dailies round wins were blistering as if chaos were not even there. However, chaos reminds the dailies who's the boss, and chaos round victories left the dailies wiping blood, getting up off the floor or tumbling to the ropes. This excitement, ladies and gentlemen, tells this humble reporter there will definitely be a rematch, a daily rematch. Vuelo, alas en los cielos, cargas con destinos, almas de almas, amores de amores, a nubes acoginados, abrazos calurosos. Flight, sky wings, you carry destinies, souls of souls, loves of loved ones, to cushiony clouds, to warm embraces. Blue sky, I want to go, spread my mind wings onto the expanse, onto beauty and love, onto playfulness, kindness, and well-lit shadows, onto the warmth of home and a bed that looks out through a sash window to new stars, a new heaven. Thank you very much.
take a quick break, but I'm going to read what we have in the second half here. We have, well, Nasira is not here, so Mr. Sandiego over there is going to kick off the second half and end it, because I owe him in a sense, and so we worked that out. Then we got Britt Peter coming back, Gabriel, Brandon, Tommy Abercrombie, our mini feature of the evening. Sharon Scott Kish is going to take us to Kansas City. Here we go. Andrew, AJ as he called, Garrett Murphy, the renowned, Buford Button, the wonderful, Craig Pond, the voice, Cat, and then David E. My wife may show up, she's not sure because she's not sure and she's not sure. So I said, well, I'll put your name on and you can show up late at the end somewhere. She said, well, maybe, okay, yes, maybe, all right, yes, good, maybe, yes.
You listen well.
And I said, are you coming? She said, yes, well, you know, I think, and then, okay. So it'll be a great second half. This thing will still be on, but it'll be turned to face this wall, and that way you can talk amongst yourselves. Go over to that guy and talk to him, because, like I said, what poems? And then we'll be back short order. Thank you so much. We'll be there, or be square. And then those flyers about the poetry thing, if you want to get one of those there, this is a good time to get those. And if you can't get it, I can see to it that you get one or find out how it's done.
Wait for you.
Okay.
See what I get
You're
back.
okay, right?
Yeah, I'm going to England.
Oh, really?
So,
What part?
London. My wife is, she's in there's family issues.
Oh, okay. But there's not like death or disease going on in
Her
this.
father died. So it's like all his stuff's.
Oh, got to go through all the.
Go through all, sell the house.
Well, good luck with that, and come back. We like you. And then after you get back in, we can, hang out for a minute.
That sounds great.
All right.
It's 1458.
1458. I'm 1515.
I know.
Oh, you know. Oh, 1458. Okay, I got you.
Okay.
All right.
Let's see if
Let me make a note here.
1458.
1458.
Yeah.
30.
Yeah.
Good. No one will know what that means. All right.
I'll see you next time.
Take care. All right.
Like I literally just couldn't do it. I've never been able to.
So, the name of the. I was saying about my cherry cashew yogurt tonight. It didn't help. Oh, this was an untitled poem by unknown person. I just like attributing things.
No, I watched them, they left.
And this is the original? Okay, so this is the original. Oh, congratulations. Really?
I think karaoke live.
No, that could be cool sometime.
Our first game was
No, that's so much fun. I will carry it once in a while.
Oh, I thought I did.
There's a couple of songs there, so I'm gonna have all my little workshops. People are screaming and shit. LA Mountain.
Oh, that's good.
I didn't know the words that well, but no one cared. All right.
Someone has arrived.
Yes, it was the break already. I signed you in. Well, you can talk to him, I think.
I'm gonna get back to the car then get my.
Okay, all right.
Is this
Oh, yeah,
Wayne?
yeah,
Is
you
this
already.
Wayne?
Yes.
Hi,
He's my
Jensen.
co-host of.
Nice to meet you. So,
He's given me responsibility.
Oh, okay, next to
So-
glass. Okay, good.
Looks like this is-
I haven't checked. Okay, good, I'll give you some time.
Plenty. It's great looking at as you're reading and you're right there in the tent. Yeah, it's always nice to have something that you're reading.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You know what she says, don't you? Where's my It's not the real good one, but it's supposed to be a treat.
I mean, they do, but they don't.
When she goes on a tear, you better watch it. That's why.
Rhubarb is the first one. Then comes teaching. Rhubarb sauce.
Kansas City. He was there.
Yeah, rhubarb. Rhubarb? No.
No, it was possum, sorry. Possum.
My father's red.
Remember, I wrote about the
Yeah.
people.
I was
Well, you think this is all
Here to read? No? Okay.
In the north, signs is factors. In the south,
Why do you think it's good?
You never hear the punchline.
And I lived in Mexico for 5 years.
You come back with the punchline.
That was it.
I'm fine. Haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you. In case you want to go to.
Oh!
Came in late.
I moved to live with my uncle in Mexico City for 6 years.
Oh, okay. My ignorance showed it.
My parents spoke Spanish, oddly enough, even though they're
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you check yours, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one line that has like this long, and then there's one word D that's that's what you want.
The whole problem is like the initial was like so bad.
Oh, yeah, so, yeah, but so, did we send you the, oh, did you get yours from the internet? Okay, I'll send you the one that. And she said, huh? Oh, Now, like I'm waiting for the, I sent away for a copy to see what it is.
Yeah.
Once I sit down and say, oh, if there's anything, but I think what we're gonna do here is, we're gonna pick a day and say, we will have copies by this day, so comment on like her facility. And it would be the same way we do this. We'll have to-
Well, I just feel like if you're really offensive to people, like, they're not part of the group anymore, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just like a poet now, so.
All right, so
So feel free, you don't have to.
I wanted to honor you.
I know, like,
You had to tell me. I wouldn't assume.
yeah.
And then I think the thing we're having, it would be great if you were here, and who the inspiration. We can.
They're already public, right?
You live there or you just from make a movie?
I crossed my name out because I have to leave it. We have to be super on time. I overestimated how much time I had.
Oh, I see.
So I'll be back next week though. I'm back next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you okay? Yeah. Because I was thinking, after Jacob goes on, you can go right next, and then we'll just go back with I can go slip. If you're not comfortable, we can do it next week as well.
I'll do it next week. I don't have any actual poetry. I was just gonna talk.
Well, here's the thing. You can read somebody else's poem, something new, you can tell a short story, a joke. If you sing, you say, it's 5 minutes of your time. So you can tell a joke, somebody else's poem, your poem, something you love, something you like to read. My wife does, she just read papers and books, but I can't imagine that 3 minutes in one. So it's just my poem, so you're like,
I'll do it.
so good.
Yeah.
Is it your Kathy?
If I could actually go, like soon, actually that'd be great.
And if you haven't gotten one of these, ladies and gentlemen, I suggest you do that if you want to have a nice evening. Oh, my poems are in there. My God. All right. Okay, can you frame me in there a little bit?
Yeah, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for the second show. There's been some adjustments to your set. We controlled the vertical, the horizontal, reduced the focus on the soft, whatever that, you remember that?
Yeah.
I never remember the whole thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a great TV show, but that's not why we're here. We're here to hear poetry. Nasira is not here, so the last word has devolved upon Jacob Sandigo. He will start the second show and kick it off. And then we have Kat, a brand new person, following him. And then we get to Britt Peters coming back. So give Mr. Sandigo a round of applause.
Come on.
Yeah.
There you go, brother.
Whew. All right. Well, how's everyone doing? All right. This is a poem from a really long poem called the 27 Epic. Hands etched in hatred, grasp my neck, and demand I recite the name that I was given. God. Shoot. God. Okay. I thought I memorized that one, but I didn't. I'll do a different one. Yeah, this one's number 23 from the Epic. Lighter fluid reminds me of her. Cigarettes were her children. She nurtured them until the final drag. She doesn't believe in doctors, said they are nothing but con men, and nurses, nothing but eye candy. She told inside jokes to herself and self-prescribed solutions. Adderall, weed, codeine, coke, and plenty of Percocet. Medication for her mind that housed 3 demons and a dead grandmother. I held her until the rain dissolved and the sun returned from hiatus. We don't need the sun, it's already light outside. We need the moon for this empty shoebox we call Earth. We waited for night, she called us lunatics. Our eyes forgot to blink, we went blind staring at the almighty rock in the sky. Crystals were supposed to stabilize her, but none were able to cure her mental relapse. She asked me to take her to the library so we could burn it down. This is a house built on lies. The romanticists glorified love, the counterculture, drugs. None of it has substance, none of it is real. We held hands until she became a postmortem postcard. Address obsolete. Please return to sender.
Whoa. We'll be back to close out the show. Thank you, Jacob, for being patient.
And we got Kat coming up.
Kat, no, she's new. She's new. All the way from New York City.
I think I might be the oldest one here. So I don't write poetry. I wasn't planning on doing this tonight. I just showed up at I've been here since 4 o'clock, just working on stuff. And let's see, Richard over there told me about this, and he sort of encouraged me, but he didn't encourage me, he didn't discourage me. Just a statement. This is going on tonight, you know? But I heard tonight's theme is women's empowerment.
Yes.
And I'm from Georgia. I grew up in I was born in Washington, but I grew up in Georgia. My family is very, very conservative. They voted for Trump. My dad, my mom, my brother, unfortunately. And so all my life I've been surrounded by just very conservative, conservative ideas of what being a woman is supposed to be, you know? I've always been told, don't talk too much, don't be too fat, I have to act a certain way, I have to be perfect, you know? And I've only been here for about 6-7 months, and I remember when I was coming back to the city from visiting my family, all that I could think of is, I don't belong here. It was echoing in my mind over and over again, I don't belong here. You don't belong here. And I don't know. That's my thought. It's unfinished. That's all I have. Thank you.
You belong in San Francisco. Now that's empowering. All right. Britt. He's returning. Keynote always comes back to the open. Give him a nice round of applause, please. Z comes up here. Brady facing the crowd the second time, as I like to say.
Okay. The green label platter and rain, rain, rain. Sister Rosetta at an abandoned railroad station. Gospel and Granada vision. Rocking chairs and cotton bales. Rain near Manchester. See how she struts. The oldest and best rain song. Her overcoat, her guitar. The English kids on the siding sopping it up. Rain, rain, 40 days and 40 nights. Now didn't it, now didn't it? Rain, rain. And here, this morning's rain, stalled traffic on the freeway, a lost bird in the gray sky, my dog smudging the front window. Rain, rain. Choose your colors, gray or green, gray the day and railroad scene. Green the colors of Charltonville's lawn. Green the spinning label of that old vinyl platter, snatched from a Goodwill bin by hungry ears. the platter, no scratches. Sister Rosetta and Marie Knight at one, rolling down the track. The pulse of the drive wheel, the spray, the driving beat. Rain, rain, rain. Okay. Lee Poe, Letting Go, The Fractured Day, The Village of Strangers. Lee Poe alone, The Soothing Cup, the frail man softens his discontent. 2. No clock on the wall, the quiet deck, the quick entry of the returning moon, the noise of his life behind him. 3. The poem flowing from the jug, the moon seen as a friend, an anchor, word splash in the quiet lake. 4. Lee Poe at one with the moon, the empty boat, the quiet lake.
Next up, Gabriel Weiss.
Gabriel, this is your first time?
No, first time in 2 years.
Okay, first time in 2 years. Give him a round
Yes.
of applause.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, yes, that's perfect. Thank you all. This is my first time here. It's been a while. And the first poem I'm going to read is a response to a Danish novel called Niels Lune by Jens Peter Jacobsen, if I pronounce the name right. And in this poem, I play as the perspective of a god that this poor boy despises after his sister's death. And above all, this is a poem of the imagination and the dilemma of belief. Oh, Niels, I'm that cloud that wept over Copenhagen, watching you follow Adele's ghost up the stairs, and there you sat, waiting for the sun to make its way, brooding, bearing the thought of me that crowds thy conscience, as if I were the shadow of spring that doused the candle's flame and cut sleep from thy sister's swollen heart. Rain trickles down and stirs dull roots amid her casket, where you'd pound thy feet upon her grave, and I, the pastor, like wildebeest, where angels stood in handcuffs, laughing at Herr Bygum ramble about the soul's damnation, as you stood stupefied, imagining a lion's gaze under capacious skies. Crepuscular light unfolds, unsealing earth to her intervals, and there recycled souls peer from the towers of Cordoba, watching arbiters crawl under barbed wire to watch a man on the moon. Cries of uncertainty impregnate the mind. Listen as they parade the streets, obedient to their lust, wasting their days, waiting for me to take the blame, stealing thy pride and hiding it in the mouth of eternal sleep. Oh, saunterer, stop and watch the setting sun unfold their thoughts, like a lover that felt thy body's blood swell in the confessional. Thank you. And on the theme of tonight, this is an elegy or a poem written to my grandmother, great-grandmother, who just turned 100 years old.
Nice.
Yes, so give her a round of applause. She's in Minnesota.
Whoa!
Yes, here's the old age. Oh, that was sorry. I sit at the dinner table, watching children play with worms, while Mimi smiles cunningly and raises her glass. Uncle Fred jolts from the table and chases his soul out the door. Mimi's ghost stands near and tends to her as a nurse would do, lifting the lipstick-smeared martini glass to her dry lips. On our walks, we would talk of wit and beauty. You tasted the fragrance as I swallowed polluted air. Under blankets of Midwestern skies, we chased the leaves at dawn, drifting where we wanted to be. And together, we We stared at the Mississippi River roaring downward, and together we took walks in the nightlife, listening to laughter echo across the bridge. And together we celebrated 100 years of youth with a bottle of Prosecco, and smeared our fingertips on photographs of you in your 20s, laughing under the black and white skies of claustrophobic Germany, arm in arm with sluggish men who loved to tease. I refused, you cried with idleness in your eyes as I saw thee stare into the mirror, tasting lip balm with the tip of tongue that never partook. And now we sit on your balcony, laughing under stars in the sky, while listening to the hour hand as it still deconstructs our eternity. And now I draw my fingers under the bags of thy wandering eyes and feel the moon moving backwards, just as it always has.
Oh.
Thank you. And I'd like to invite the saxophone player for this one if you want to come up and join me.
Oh, yeah.
That's short. Yeah.
Good work if you can
You
get
just
her,
follow me,
David.
yeah. All right. 1,000 faces in a street lure along the anesthetic. Animal eyes that cling. Asphalt's felt our chill steps. The hustle and bustle, the rhythm of anxiety's stride. Eyes that fail to meet, and words that fail to interweave. We live each day as if we woke to escape it. To dream of strangers undressed in the decay of autumn. A breeze crawls through doors, soldered to our spines. White lies heard under steel roofs. To lust in our lone patrol. To feel as large as life. To feel wine balloon our bellies amidst the limelight. To love. To feel blood coagulate while temperature rises. Oh, the soul's ecstatic incantations under a sun that satirizes our thirst. Our language, robbed by the need to be right. To keep quiet for a unity we're supposed to be drunk under. Like the shadow of a ceiling caving in. Children crawl out their attics and tell the stories they were never told. Thousands cried to those with burnished hands. To legislators and obedient atheists rephrasing narratives. Oh, our feet glued to the ground while the planet spins. Laughter on a Friday night echoes our ears as though the halls heard our reckoning. Thank you. Thank you.
Brandon Hines.
All right.
I'm a first person.
A first
Yes.
person.
See if that's right for you. See if that's good for you.
That'll work, yeah.
All right. And you're framed.
So I have done one other poetry reading, but not here. So this is the first time. So it's called Tire Licking, and I will let you try to understand what it means. So 3-line poems, New York Times bestsellers of impatience. Pollen drips through attention spans of hummingbird minds. Machine gun notifications, smartphone neuroticism, systemic disconnection, physical, psychological, spiritual neglect, a consequence, why now? Auras pulse up and down shadowed sidewalks, light pulsates, darkness informs. I, we, us, observing contradictions, subjective and objective. Should I become a Sufi? An intermission, a cerebral sacrifice, an interlocking presence. Glances that offer hope, love. Manuscripts of narratives tread across dandelion yellow sidewalks. Careful, secrets lie under the iris.
A screenplay of perceptions, eye contact hold with the audience. Everyday social tests, the director alone, naive to the sensual. Nostalgic cream palettes, colored storefronts offer sturdy bay shrimp. Innuendos, soft sponge moss fur, tight on the bridge. Animate relationships, angst and suspension temporarily, cherish an eternity. Disenthrall your political identities, try to, for once. Status seekers lick their glossy black-rimmed tires. A child apathetically stares near the rear door, the mind ajar. Parking meters tick absent-mindedly while digital companions scream from our linen pockets. Material allegiance and impersonal essence. Poe, a new friend, loses himself in absurdities. Visual realities propagandize the circuitry of humanity. Distorted perceptions, meanwhile, rewire the unquestioned thumbs on the screen. And then I think I may have a little time for this, but how much time do we have?
Like a minute plus.
Minute plus, okay. We'll try to get a little through here. So this is just the relationship between surface and depth, and I'm taking a writing class for the first time, a creative writing class, so thought I'd use this one. Here we go. Wind chime sailboats ricochet off docks of moonlit wood. Marimbas clink and groan on cosmetic surfaces. Star-tattooed water lines ripple across the horizon. Seen and unseen, seen and unseen. Perceive, discern, a hall ensconced by midnight aquamarine. Water salted. 10, 20, 30 feet. Diving into depth, embrace. Seaweed dreams, rocks tumble out of halibut hearts. Lustful kayaks paddle in determination to dock. Ignorant of muscles, of chambers of golden coal and narratives untold. Transgress boundaries on the continuum, for each blinds us to understanding nuance, intentional.
Thank you. Well, our mini feature of the evening will kindly come forth, or as I like to say, fifth or sixth or seventh, like that. This is. Yes, I'll explain it later. We'll talk for a quick minute. Yeah, of course. I'll explain. I'm sorry. I'm going to go to the a well-known and highly regarded member of the arts community of San Francisco. A pillar, as it were.
Stop.
A pillow, as it was.
As opposed to a pill. Enough.
No, there's never enough. You know this by now.
Okay.
But I'm stopping because it's your turn.
Okay. Tongues gliding over armpits and nipples, salty with summer heat, hungry as only tongues can be for the taste and warmth of skin. Tongues without words, speaking in poetry. Tower of Babel crazy, leaving haiku on my thighs and couplets on his neck. Pleasure drunk, never fully sated, we are baptizing each other with saliva. When it's over, he leaves. I shower, gargle, washing off his smells, taste, rinsing them into oblivion. Now that I've got you heated up,
Yeah.
so
heap of the heap.
I don't know how many people know what the eugenics movement was. It was
We're talking about the new one or the old one?
the one that never went away.
Well, that's disgusting. I know a lot about that, enough to be sick.
The one that inspired Nazi Germany to do what it did.
Oh my God.
Some people are born to be a burden on the rest of us. That's why we must sterilize the poor, uneducated, prostitutes, illiterates, disabled, epileptic, sex deviants, criminals. Put them in camps along with the morons and the feeble-minded. It's for their own good and the good of us all. That's why the feeble-minded can't marry in Connecticut. Can't let them contaminate the gene pool of the Anglo-Protestant upper class. Only healthy seeds must be sown. And girls, you'd better check Kellogg's pedigree registry before you say, I do. Make better families, better babies, a fitter future. Let eugenics be your new science. Judge them by the size and shape of their heads, the look of their eyes, their ethnic origins, their family illnesses. Tell the politicians to block them from swarming into Ellis Island. Erect a wall to protect our eastern border from this invasion of inferior stock, of disease and social chaos. Why, they don't even speak English. These Italians, Japanese, Chinese, Eastern Europeans, Jews. Congress is right to restrict their numbers. They should keep them away altogether, not even let one more of them step foot on pure American soil. Or the race that has made our country great will be no more. That piece contains a lot of actual quotes from the eugenics movement of 100 years ago and the things that they said, including the KKK calling for a wall around Ellis Island to protect our eastern border. I kid you not. I can't make this stuff up. And this is a little me getting a little sentimental about a little mechanical friend of ours. I won't tell you who it is. It's obvious in the poem. What did he think when he heard Billie Holiday's "I'll Be Seeing You"? Lying there, battery running out, solar panels covered with sand, unable to recharge or to express his gratitude for that final song, that farewell from those who had created him, nicknamed him Opie, expected him to live 90 days. He made it through 15 years, over 25 miles of cruel, lifeless Martian landscape, sending back hundreds of thousands of photos, never tiring, never questioning. Even with a recurrent wheel and robotic arm problem, he found proof that there was once water. But no Uncle Martin, no Ming the Merciless, no ancient civilization whose ghosts still haunt their old cities, no aliens preparing war machines for an Earth invasion. Day after day, looking out on that same harsh, rocky terrain, did he dream of flowering fields, ocean that stretched on forever, a warm summer night's full moon? I hope that as his last bits of energy dissipated, the smell of gardenias and roses followed him into eternity. I have a couple more minutes.
Yeah, you got a couple more minutes.
I want to do a song.
He wants to do a song.
I was performing earlier at the Redstone building because they're trying to save the Redstone building in the Mission, which of course we all support, right? Yeah, the Redstone building. So I want to do, I was singing there, so I had my guitar, so I may as well finish with a song. And this song is about Irish Canada.
who was a 100-year-old African-American woman who, believe it or not, was evicted by the city of San Francisco, by the sheriff, and then she died shortly afterwards. And she was someone I came to know because I was part of her defense team. We were trying to stop the eviction, and we saved her for 1.5 years. We kept her in her home against all odds, but ultimately the sheriff did that foul deed, and she died. I'm going to sit here. My voice is loud anyway, so I'll just...
What do you say?
When I think of the way you stood there, sometimes silent in prayer, sometimes full of despair. Beautiful Iris, you just wanted to go home. When I think how you lay in that bed, IV tubes and those meds, there's just one thing you said. Beautiful Iris, you just wanted to go home. How many more lives must be taken away or simply shredded away till they've made enough? When I think how they moved all your things in the dead of the night, did they think it was right? Beautiful Iris, you just wanted to go home. When I think how they broke your little heart till it just came apart and you had to depart. Beautiful Iris, you just wanted to go home. How many more lives must be taken away or simply shredded away till they've made enough? When I think that no justice can exist in a country like this, where the greed still persists. Beautiful Iris, you just wanted to go home. You just wanted to go home. Rest in power, Iris.
We got Sharon.
Sharon's not good.
There, just there. There you go. Thank you.
Kansas City, here we come.
Kansas City, here we come. I got some lazy little birdies that never mind. Stop that right now. She's the original person.
Sister Rosetta to the right.
I was waiting for her to stop.
Okay. The rhythm of life is a jazz rhythm. Honey, the gods are laughing at us. Langston Hughes.
Okay.
Powerful women. Had I lived the life that the state had planned for me from the beginning, I would have lived and died in someone else's kitchen or someone else's land and never written a word. That knowledge is bone deep, and that informs everything I do. Toni Morrison. Powerful women. Kansas City. My grandmother. And this one's called tuna salad. Even my grandmother had a very fine catering service, respected by all. Some of the best clients in the area. Referrals constantly. One day the phone rings, she listens. She listens to the caller, whom she is not familiar with. She asks the usual questions, how many people, preferences, etc. Next day, I get to accompany her. It's a nice house. We'd been there to many much grander house. So, my grandmother begins the questions. What kind of china do you have? Oh well, I have samples of my stock. What kind of silver do you have? Oh, here's what I can supply. Do you have a bar or should we get one? Set one up for you. Well, I can supply a bartender. He can also help with the serving of the hors d'oeuvres. Linens? Oh, here are my samples. I get busy going to the bathroom. I want to see what's going on in here. So I go and I peek around and I look, and I'm not judging. Yeah. I sit down. I am 6 and I am nosy. Gotta go to the bathroom again. There's the bedroom. This woman doesn't have too many clothes. Okay. Well, what's the party for? The woman's name is Ann. Of course it's Miss Ann. And she says, her husband's just gotten a promotion at the bank. What bank? He's now a vice president. What bank? Oh, I know Mr. Hayes, the president. You do? Yes, I've catered many parties. I know all of his favorite dishes. Oh, well, I got your name from his housekeeper. Yes, I know Della very well. Mr. Hayes loves to give parties, and I have several dishes that he usually requests. Oh, I see. So Eva asks her who's going to be in attendance, and she tells her, okay, well, you get the place cards ready. Place cards? Okay, I'll do the place cards. I'll seat the desk, a guest, and I'll tell you where everybody should sit and who knows who. So, as time progresses, Eva goes to the laundry to get the linens. She's got the china ready, and it's the day of the party. She shows up with the food, the servers, the bartender. Miss Ann has to go to the beauty shop. Nice, she'll be out of the way. Oh, Eva, by the way, can you feed the cat? Sure. The cat's food is in the refrigerator. Fine. I'll do it. You just go ahead. I'll be ready when you get back. I'll have everything ready. Okay, everything is going right along. The groceries have been delivered. Everything's getting ready to get cooked. And Eva decides, we better feed the cat and get it out of the way. So she says, oh, she also leaves a note that she's left some food for your people to eat. It's tuna salad. Okay. Eva feeds the cat. Then she says, oh well, I'll open it up and see what it is. And she opens it up and she looks at it and she looks at the cat's dish. Well, she sticks her finger in it and says, it's goddamn cat food. So, close it up, kids. Don't cook a thing, don't touch a thing. We've got to go. But before we go, Eva gets on the phone and she calls everyone on the list that she can reach. And at her last step, she calls the president of the bank and she says, Guess what that bitch just tried to do to me? Eva, it's not acceptable. Did she pay you? Yes, she paid me. Well, look in the mail. I'm going to send you some more money. This is not going to happen. We don't do this shit in Kansas City. So they pack up and they leave. And then as she goes out the door, she calls her husband and says, there will be no party. Next thing we know, we get to the house, the phone is ringing and ringing and ringing. And Eva refuses to take her call. And the next day, there's flowers and flowers and flowers, which Eva sends back. So move forward several months later, and the president of the bank has a party. And they sit there and they all laugh because finally this guy has been put in the back of the office, and the boss refers to her, his wife, the woman, as Miss Ann, as that cheap oaky bitch. So finally they leave and they go out of town. And when we have another party that we get to go to that's being catered, and he raises his glass and says, may that son of a bitch and that oaky bitch rot in hell.
We got AJ up to the mic.
AJ and Garrett and Gifford and Frank and Wendy and David and then Jacob coming back. Thank you so much. Wow. Thank you. That's good.
That's jacket. I don't know who it is. Whoever gave me the jacket, thank you. Alright, I'm a kitty store. Can I have some candy? Give me some candy.
Yeah, you know you are. Anyways, let's start now. What's that cat's name? So, my name is AJ, personally, so just nice to meet you. Just to come and talk a little shit, I'm going to talk about a little poem I wrote. I've been celebrating my 3 copyrights, big 3 copyrights. Started in, all the way down in San Diego about 2015, in the Devil's Corner, Escondido, California. Rincon de Diablo, where you at? Anyway, so here we go. You know, I read about homeless. I dove into a homeless pool pretty deep about 8 years ago for an array of reasons. Some are very justified, some maybe not. Who knows who you are or perspectives of motherfucker in it. So anyways, you know, I did it for reasons. About 4 years ago, about 5 years ago, when I went to the Devil's Corner, Escondido, California, I made the decision to really try and pry myself out of that pool to resurface and get to sea level. So how else do you do that when you're in a bind? You gotta see your way out, right? So that's what I started doing, you know? So I got that first copyright, and you know, Escondido, California. Anyways, got screwed over, but you know, it's all good. Escondido do that to you, but they might, I don't know, there's a tricky balance down there, but well, fine. But they, you know, they support the 7-point star. The last time I was here, I think I talked about the heptagon. I've been putting a little work in on that, trying to apply it with the circle of fists, which I'm kind of just stumbled across in the streets, and not really a lot of musical background, but you know, I'm learning, and you know, so I got a lot of work to do to back that up. But anyways, come together. You know what I mean? Like it's cool to hear the main gigger talk about the Redstone Building. There's some SF Greens over there doing some fundraising, and they've hosted me over there a few times, and you know, fed me a little knowledge. So good luck to y'all saving that building, Mission District, and you know, good luck to the DMV getting my 4th freaking application to get 65 9th Street. I don't know. Quit pulling my chain, you little devils. DMV. Anyways, 4 times 6 months identification card. Yeah, I'm trying to bust out his cafe scene and get to the bar scene. Anyways, it's a 10-7 freaking star. All right, so check out the schematics on metaphysicalrain.com if you shall. There's a schematic there. Try application. There's a lot of references to the circle of fists. Revelations, the Devil's Corner, 9/11 remembrance. Been tying all that shit in since 2015 to those natures regarding some of my work. So it's kind of intertwined, and you know. So I made it all the way there. I went to LA, got the second one. I believe it was in LA. You know, Los Angeles, California, and I had to kind of shake the spot. You know, made it up here to San Francisco. Got that third one locked in up here in San Francisco. So for the party hat, you see that schematic. You know what I'm talking about? Wooden bow tie, party hat. We're going to business. So anyways, the homeless thing, you know, rising to sea level, rising above it. You know, I'm at sea level kind of dog paddling right now, but you know, I got that circle, C major circle of fist. You know, I'm working with the copyright kind of protocol. So 3 C's, bam. 3 major C's, so that's where I'm starting right now. Lock that in. Bam, circle me. Anyways, that's what you're doing anyway. So anyways, about the 10-7 angel and the 10-7 beast, Revelations reference. Figure it out for yourself if you shall. But the last time I was in LA, I left, I did an open mic right before I left at a bar called the Lexington, right down the street from Proof Rock Pizzeria on Main Street, downtown Los Angeles. So, anyways, Proof. So, Rocket. Rocket Man, how you doing? Anyways, check this out. So, it's about 10-7, so, you know, 7th Angel, 3rd Well. The Lexington in LA, when I did an open mic, I just walked in off the streets. I just got out of jail, I think, not too recently, like pretty recently. And, you know, so I went in off the streets and I got the last slot, and the guy went before me. He was like a retired CS, and he went by Matt. I think he had a footprint on his head. I was like, Matt, I feel you. I get walked all over. But I followed him, and he gave a prayer to his dark angel. It was cool. I was like, man, this fits what I'm going to do, because I'm going to recite a poem about a good friend of mine. It's called The 7th Angel. And he spit his piece, and I was like, right on, Matt, you know, good looking out. So I mean, this one's real quick, it's less than a minute. Is that my time?
Yeah.
Okay, so search for me, I'll see you there. Find me once and then again. We're back and forth, we're everywhere. We'll hide together in our sin. It's us and them, it's her, he, it's I, it's you or me. It's up and down, it's left and right. It's in and out, it's day and night. It's one more time for your poetry. Woe to those who earth and sea. Woe to those who earth and sea. Woe to those who earth and sea. 7th angel, 7th angel, 7th angel, 7th angel, 7th angel, 7th angel, 7th angel. So, I had a bunch of love packs to give out, but we're out of time. So, you know, anybody fighting whatever, to everybody and all. So, have a good night. So, you know, love packs to all. And to the, you know, the Me Too movement, keeping with the theme. Dog Star Relative, Cat Paw, Hellcat, Baby Eve, where you at? We love you. I talk shit about it, but, you know, I support the cause. Me Too movement, you know. Keep it up. Stay strong.
Garrett Murphy. Garrett, all right. Yeah, you know where that goes, David. Thank you, sir.
This is a great poet, by the way. If you are not familiar with him, you will be in a moment.
Hey, scooting along. Anywhere and everywhere you see them around. Some are erect, many on their sides. Some appear to be off cold, others look live as hot coals. You see them on the streets, mounted or not, and they ask for only a buck to start. A buck to boot, or is it a buckaroo? If you don't watch out, you could fall over one. If they don't watch out, they may find some in the lake. Their abundance is not unlike that of the homeless, but the homeless presence is understandable due to policies that lead to such. But the policies regarding the scooters seem much more tolerant, though frankly those scooters, along with their makers, their riders, and their so-called regulators, one might wish they just plain scoot. No racists place Black History Month in February. You probably heard it as modern day myth. They went and put Black History Month in February, the shortest month of the year. Yes, you've heard it right, a myth, that's all it is. There's a lot of things can be placed on a racist and with all kinds of credibility to boot, but this isn't one of them. For you see, the person responsible that the month of Black History celebrate was a black man, Dr. Carter G. Woodson. Woodson was a historian who, seeking a means to ensure that the history of black folk would not be lost, established a week of celebration called Negro History Week. But why, you ask, or more likely, well, if this Woodson guy was so concerned about black pride and sense of history, did he pick little February, the shortest month of the year? February was a month in which Dr. Woodson's foremost heroes, Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln, whose importance to black history were both without question, were born. And of course, Negro History Week became Black History Week, became Black History Month. And given the immense impact that Dr. Woodson's creation, what on earth would make anyone believe that some silly racist could invent and plan a Black History Month? A racist didn't put Black History Month in February. A racist couldn't put Black History Month in February or do much of anything bordering on the worthwhile. So don't give any racist so much of a credit. Black history is just too big in importance and magnitude for some racists to carry so much as a fraction, much less place. And besides, haven't you heard of the adage about big things coming in small packages? the sinking tower of rhymes with Crisco. Like present-day imitators of Yoda the Turtle, the city parents and developers did it this time. All they really had to do was to simply build a new transit center, but of course, who do we think we are? Anyone can build a simple transit center, but we're SNF, the city that really knows how. There's nothing going higher than we will build us a transit center capped by a building that'll really help to build us up to the stars. So they build up and build up and build up some more, and behold, that tower was built, a marvel of the ages. But what's that odd sound, that sinking sound, not quite the burping sound of a Mac, but equally ominous? A gasp for a sound, and it is plainly clear that that tower has begun to sink like poor Alice into the earth. Those developers might have dared to rise to the stars, but it appears they may really sink to the fallen stars. They really should have known that to build up on sand, something enough to go through hourglasses, sole source of hubris as city leaders and builders. But you can never keep a big ego down for long. Hey, look on the bright side, at least we've done Italy a few better. They just have a leaning tower apiece, but we have, ladies and gentlemen, the sinking tower of, well, you know.
Buford! And then Greg, and then Wendy, then
got it?
David.
All right, David.
Jacob coming back. And then, of course, we'll distribute these great and wonderful prizes that we are known to.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm kind of tall for a short guy. As Garrett would say, only much nicer. He would do it much better. Well, children, teens really, with lust included, I take them apart and fuss a bit. You can't put your legs on each other, I warn them, and make them sit far apart. Down syndrome girl, speechless boy who smiles at her with a twinkle and a prone body. I have to correct, move him a bit and make him sit up. I don't want to be like this, but they are, and other workers in my position have noted this before. Down syndrome and autism are nasty mistakes of mother and father nature. The kids live their lives under much scrutiny, and they always will.
Yeah.
If you've heard this before, I've read it before, but I like it, so here it goes.
It's your choice, dear.
What am I going to talk about? What am I going to talk about tonight? There's Trump. No. Mr. Mr. I don't call it guy, Mr. I said my Trump pieces have all been overwritten. He is too easy to bash. Baseball, probably not. I like baseball too much. The anti-Trump. My life, too personal. Other folks may not want me to mention them. How good Sacred Grounds poetry is, the best topic I can imagine. Dan Brady, the late Johanna Wedgwood, who, of course, Dan succeeded. The quality of Sacred Grounds poetry, that goes about 2.5 hours, is the greatest. All I have to do is come up with something sparkling. Not impossible, of course. Now let me sharpen my mind to the task at hand. Almost too much, but here I go.
Yeah. And now the wondrous Greg Pond will warm the mic with his dulcet tones, as we like to say. The gracious Greg Pond.
Here we go.
This first poem is about one of my cousins who is now, I think, 82. This was written when she turned 80. And it's called 8 Decades of Grace. It's time to take time to gratefully say, thank heaven for granting us grace while she continues to stay in our hearts and our lives for over 8 decades. Heart to art and day to day, sharing, mentoring, giving lessons with dedication graciously displayed, showing the world the very essence of what it means to serve, without thought or of whatever she may get in recompense as reward or in return. We're so grateful for the Panamanian girl who married Mickey, became organizer, educator, director, as well as registered nurse, who traveled the corners of the world in honor of her father, but always put God first. A life of order and coordination, an example to coworkers, students, family, and friends. So much to celebrate, so much to look forward to, so much to remember when. Needless to say, we all lovingly remain knee-deep in gratitude as she continues up the ladder through her 8th decade with grace. And I've read this one before, but for the theme and for Black History Month, Ms. Fannie Lou Hamer. When is the time to become inspired? When is the time to stand for truth? When will you finally be sick and tired of being sick and tired like Miss Fannie Lou? She mobilized, sacrificed, fought the fight for civil rights. She used to say, you can pray until you faint, you can cry until you're blue, but if you don't get up and try to do something, God won't put it in your lap for you. She helped poor folks register even while the law threatened her. Despite the guns, clubs, and dogs, she would always proclaim, I'm not backing off. Didn't come all this way for just 2 seats on the train when we're all sick and tired of the sick and tired refrain. An activist for women, pioneered to end the voting ban. Jailed, mistreated, severely beaten by a white authority's hand. I recall her saying, whether you have a PhD or no D at all, we're in this bag together, we will stand, divided we will fall. But if I do go down, let me stretch my 5'4" frame forward, so I'll be that much closer to freedom by the time I hit the ground. Miss Fannie Lou, a fighter, a champion, a maverick who took a stand for those who couldn't speak for themselves in the deep of the 60s South, against the Ku Klux Klan with the burning crosses and the twisted mouth. As Nina Simone sang the blues about bodies hanging while black is still the color of America's hate and fear. State to state, across this land and everywhere. And everybody knows about Mississippi. God damn.
Yeah.
Woo!
Wendy Walters is coming up now. Greg, I had the clock set wrong, so it went off at the wrong time. I apologize for that. Anyway,
I'll have to do it again.
Yeah, well, you know, leave it up to me.
You good?
Hi everyone. Before I read some poetry, I'd just like to say I just learned that Al Young is in the hospital, and if we could all just send out some good vibes to him.
One of the nicest
Wonderful
human beings
man
in
and
the
poet.
world. He's one of the nicest human beings in the world.
Yeah.
He is.
He's been here several times.
Yeah,
over the years,
yeah.
and, he's
It
a
was
good
like
poet, good
it was
guy.
like having the God come in and be the feature.
Yeah, I know. This is like, what a voice. Thank you, Wendy.
So, we'll be thinking about you, Al. Okay. The first poem I'm going to read is from a book about awe, A-W-E, the art of awe. And it was put together by Artist Embassy International in connection with Althea Youngman, who founded Artist Embassy International, which brought together different cultures through the arts. And if you've never heard of it, there's something called the Dancing Poetry Festival, and it's poetry mixed with dance. And you can submit poems that they can set to dance. They choose certain poems that they set to dances and choreograph. And then other poems, they give out prizes too, cash prizes. And it's in the fall, in September, each year.
They're on. You can look it up on the web. Dancing Poetry Contest is very easy.
Yeah, Dancing Poetry Festival and Dancing Poetry Contest. So this first one is called The Fountain. And it's by Claire Baker, who was a grand prize winner at the Dancing Poetry Festival in 2016. In the garden of wonder, there leaps a fountain, lively and luminous, rising and falling. It moves, image by image, step by step, vision by vision, into flowing within the flow. We may resist creativity, yet always we find ourselves pulled irresistible toward the fountain, as if by celestial magnets. The climbing, falling waters may overwhelm. We step closer, trace one droplet, another, and another, priming us to let visions leading us wherever they may. We watch common pebbles tossed into the receptive pool, alchemized into golden nuggets. In the garden of wonder, there leaps a fountain, lively and luminous. Creativity. We are water, drawn to water. And I didn't have a poem prepared for the theme about empowered women. How did it go?
Empowerment of women.
Empowerment of women. But I remember, you remember the young woman who was new here a little while back tonight? She was the picture of our theme, an empowered woman, coming from that upbringing and stepping out, and she was so inspiring to me. But I do have a poem about, no, I do have a poem about a theme that I picked a couple of weeks ago, bubbles. And so I'm going to read my poem, even though it's from 2 weeks ago theme. It's called Bubbles. Bubbles, bubbles, come, get your bubbles. Good for your heart, good for a lark. Liven up the dullness, evaporate the heartache. Send up the bubbles, the round, gay spheres of joyful play. Send out the wonderment that births an easy laugh. Effervescent bubbles, good for us all. Bring in the splendor of magic forgotten. Bring out the beauty of awe and transcendence. Effervescent bubbles, oh, send out the wonderment that births an easy laugh. The round, gay spheres of joyful play. Send up the bubbles, evaporate the heartache, liven up the dullness. Good for a lark, good for your heart. Come, get your bubbles.
And that brings us to David E. Sax man, as he comes up here. And then we have our closer, Jacob Sandiego. You're closing us out, isn't it? He remembers everything. And man never forgets. Thank God, because I do.
You are squared, David.
Humility, who needs it? Humility, who needs it? Humility, who needs it?
Can I get back to you on that?
From the way of the Sufi Idris Shah Naqshbandi order pattern. Sentences of the Kajagan. Rudbari, heart to heart is essential means of passing on the secrets of the path. Maghribi, learning is an activity. Learning through words alone is minor activity. Kurkani, at a certain time, more can be conveyed by distracting useless attention than by attracting it. Gurgani, the teacher and the taught together produce the teaching. Pramadi, experience of extremes is the only way towards the proper working of the mean in study. Hamadani, service of humanity is not only helpful to correct living, by its means the inner knowledge can be preserved, concentrated, and transmitted. Yasabi,
Local activity is the keystone of the dervish path. Barki. Aesthetics is only the lowest form of perception of the real. Andaki. Effort is not effort without zaman, makan, ikhwan. Right time, right place, right people. Gajdawani. We work in all places and at all times. People believe that a man is important if he is famous. The converse may equally well be true. Ahmad Sadiq. The mark of the man who has attained is when he does not mistake figurative for specific or literal for symbolic. Fagnali. Our science is not of the world, it is of the worlds. Rugari. Stupidity is to look for something in a place where untutored imagination expects to find it. It is, in fact, everywhere that you can extract it. Ramatani. Information becomes fragmented, knowledge does not. What causes fragmentation in information in scholasticism? Samasi. Man thinks many things. He thinks he is one. He is usually several. Until he becomes one, he cannot have a fair idea of what he is at all. Sokhari. We send a thought to China and it becomes Chinese, they say, because they cannot see the man who sent it. We send a man to India and they say that he is only a Turkestani. Naqshband. When people say weep, they do not mean weep always. When they say do not cry, they do not mean you to be a permanent buffoon. Attar. A true document may contain 7 layers of truth. A writing or speech which appears to have no significance may have as many layers of truth. Kamosh, it is not a matter of whether you can learn by silence, by speech, by effort, by submission. It is a matter of how this is done, not that it is done. Kashgari, if you still ask, why did such and such a person teach in this or that manner and how does it apply to me? You are incapable of understanding the answer deeply enough. Charki. No matter where the truth is in your case, your teacher can help you find it. If he applies only one series of method to everyone, he is not a teacher, let alone yours. Samarkandi, Khwaja Ahar. For every trick or imagination, there is a reality of which it is a counterfeit. Allahi. We do not live in the east or west, we do not study in the north, nor do we teach in the south. We are not bound in this way, but we may be compelled to talk in this way. Al-Bukhari. The way may be through a drop of water. It may equally be through a complex prescription, ordering. Zahid. When you see a Sufi studying or teaching something which seems to belong to a field other than spirituality, you should know that there is the spirituality of the age. Dervish. When it is time for stillness, stillness. In the time of companionship, companionship. At the place of effort, effort. In the time and place of anything, anything. Samarkandi Amin Ki. Pass from time and place to timelessness and placelessness to the other worlds. There is our origin. Simaki. If you take what is relative to be what is absolute, you may be lost. Take nothing rather than risk this. Sirhindi. Do not talk only of the 4 ways or of the 72 paths or of the paths as numerous as the souls of men. Talk instead of the path and the attaining. All is subordinated to that. Essence, dot, by Mossam. Oh, okay, I'll stop.
Thank you so much. David. Jacob is coming up. You know, thank you. You're perfect. All right. So several people mentioned Sufism, and it brought to mind the only Sufi joke that I ever heard, and I really like it, and it's very subtle.
There you go.
Would you like to hear it?
Yes.
Okay. It goes like this. One Sufi says to the other, how do you make God laugh? And the second one says, tell him your plans. Or her, depending on how you want to do it. Oh, yeah, go. I don't know why it's doing that.
It's still going.
Yeah, then it's probably all right. It just, it would be the sound.
Tenderloin temptations, kick bottle caps, and bang on barrels. No need to flick the big for miracles, but each exhale is a parable. At my wake, 6 long-headed jazzers play. We wax poetics until the dawn of days. Old English is passed around as if God intended for malt liquor to be man's hydration. My rebellion was due to X.S. Ellington, smoked out symphonies, jazzonia in a coffee cup, laced with blues. My lover looks at me and says, when will you go beyond self-abuse? When will you open your eyes to these worldly hues? For Langston Hughes. There we go. All right, this is the closing poem.
All right.
Let's see if I can do this. Hands etched in hatred wrap around my neck and demand I recite the name that I was given, God. My conscience laughs and says, atheism is the new fad. Somebody's dead already, and no one has lent a prayer. Death is an El Camino left in neutral on the Sunset Strip. Death is an unfinished canvas. Death is a small-town exorcism. Dead we are. 47 assault rifles pointed at my temple. Thoughts are contraband. Let them flow. Let them rise and fall. Like my breath, which stills as the guns cock simultaneously. Each hand on the trigger belongs to my kinfolk. They look at me as if I'm the origin of this world's suffering. We are on the plane of nothingness, where everything is nothing and nothing is everything. The firing squad demands I tell them the meaning of life. How do you obtain happiness? How do I become rich without robbery? How do we breathe in this claustrophobic constellation? Where do we come from? Where do we go from here? Each set of teeth sharpens and begins to spark. The closest assailant to me burrows the end of his gun into my skull. If enlightenment is a drug induced by meditation, how do I meditate for 27 years when all I hear is destruction and desolate dreams? I hush the crowd. They stand at attention, as if I am somebody, ready to grasp onto each word. I pick a purple rose from a crack in the concrete and present it to them, raising the earth as I do so. 47 comets converge from the cosmos, indenting my exterior like the staff of a drunken Zen master. The firing squad unloads until dusk. I shake off the shells and examine my new rebirth marks. The sun never really sets. It is preserved in our melanin. Therefore, we are the infinite light that will combat this nation's darkness. I exhale and begin again. Thank you.
All right, so what I'm going to do right now is take care of these fantastic prizes designed with your minds in mind. So the